Y'all, we're making coffee cake. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the random web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're going to be tackling low carb coffee cake. Stay tuned. All right, guys, low carb coffee cake. Can it be done? Today we're going to find out by testing two of the most popular recipes I could find online for coffee cake. Now, before we begin, you probably know this, but it bears to say that coffee cake does not contain coffee. It's meant to be eaten with your coffee in the morning as a breakfast replacement. It's also just a great dessert. So the first recipe we're going to test is coffee crumb cake, keto, low carb, and gluten-free. And this is by the website ketocookingchristian.com. And the second recipe is keto coffee cake by the website buttertogetherkitchen.com. So we're going to test those out. But before we begin, I need to give a huge thank you to Green Chef for sponsoring this week's video. Green Chef is an online meal delivery service that we've been using for a couple of weeks and have sort of fallen in love with it because they have some great keto options. Green Chef is a USDA certified organic company, and they have a lot of meal plans including paleo, plant-powered, keto, which is what I chose, balanced living, and a family plan. So the recipes are delicious. They're wonderful options. They have a lot of organic ingredients in them. All the recipes are pretty quick and easy. You've got step-by-step instructions and chef tips and photos to guide you along the way if you need instructions and you're not a very adventurous cook. These are a great way to expand your repertoire of recipes. All the ingredients come pre-measured, they're perfectly portioned, and most of all the ingredients usually come prepped. So there's very little work to do once you actually get in the kitchen. And it's, with Green Chef, it's easy to eat well and just discover new recipes every week that you're gonna love to cook. One of my favorites was last night's. It was the Italian shrimp and veggie bowl. It's got red bell peppers and cabbage and a lemon herb sauce and toasted walnuts, and it was so very good. Especially during these times, any chance I can get to avoid going to a grocery store right now, I will take that opportunity. So, Green Chef, it's just contactless delivery. They put it right on your doorstep. It is a fantastic, delicious option, and very few of these meal delivery services these days offer true keto options, and Green Chef does, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Green Chef, for sponsoring this video. I'm asking you guys to head on over to Green Chef and use code Highfalutin80. You'll get $80 off your first month of Green Chef plus free shipping on your first box. So the link is greenchef.us/Highfalutin80. Head over there and find out more details and redeem your offer. The link is going to be here on the screen. It's also down in the description below and in the pinned comment below. greenchef.us/Highfalutin80. All right, so thank you, Green Chef, for sponsoring this. I really appreciate it. All right, let's make some coffee cake. All right, guys, let's get started on our very first recipe. This is coffee crumb cake, keto, low carb, and gluten-free by the website ketocookingchristian.com. And it bears repeating because there are a lot of new faces here right now, but if you're a regular here, you know this. I don't give exact measurements for ingredients. This is not my work. These are not my recipes. I'm just here to test these recipes. So the people that did do the hard work to create these, they deserve the traffic. So I'm asking you to go to the links down below here on the screen. They'll also be in the video description below and in the pinned comment below. Just click on those, go to their website, read their write-ups, and look at their ingredient list and their recipes because, again, they deserve the traffic. So just so we're all clear. So let's get started here. This is pretty easy, I think. Doesn't require any appliances of the sort. So we're going to start by combining most of our dry ingredients. This is almond flour, the main base of this recipe. And she did not call for sifting it, but you know me, I'm always going to sift. And to this, we're also going to add a super important ingredient. This is oat fiber. That really lends a bread-like texture to a lot of keto and low-carb baked goods. And we're also going to add in our baking powder, and there's a little dash of salt in there. Just sift all this together just to make sure we don't have any lumps and bumps. It's a super humid afternoon, and it's kind of warm in here. So it, helps just to run this through a sieve. So, all right, let's mix this all together and just make sure it's combined. Yes, we sifted it together, but let's make doubly sure it's all combined. And now, let's turn our attention to the wet ingredients. We're going to start with eggs, okay? All right, so to our eggs, I forgot one of the ingredients. I would normally never measure liquids with a dry measuring cup, but we're going to today. You're going to add some heavy cream. That would have been horrible to forget that. I would have been saying, "Ooh, this cake is so dry." To our cream and eggs, we're going to add some sour cream. It's going to add a lot of moisture. And our vanilla. And lastly, this is golden erythritol, or whatever erythritol-based sweetener you want to use. We're going to use the same one in both recipes today just to avoid any difference in that. And then mix this together. Okay, so now we're just going to add in our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients and mix until just combined, she said. So I guess she doesn't want us to overmix that. Here's where her little trick comes in. We're going to reserve about 1/3 of a cup of this batter to do a little something else with, and you'll see here in a minute. Just put that to the side for a minute, and this is going to go into a 9x9 pan lined with parchment paper. And I didn't have a 9x9 pan, I had an 8x8. So we're going to just adjust our baking time a little bit. And it might be a little thicker and taller than hers was, but shouldn't be too much of a difference. So pour this in your pan. Spread that out good. We're going to make, take our reserve, let's get our bowl that we just used. Well, let's use this one actually. Take our reserve batter, right? We're going to add to that a little bit more of the golden swerve. See the humidity? Wouldn't even come out of there. And a little bit of cinnamon. Mix this together. Tiny little whisk. I get more comments on the comment section about, where did you get that tiny little whisk? I think it came with like a gift set for coffee, or like a hot chocolate gift set years ago. Like it was tied to the bow, you know. But I use it all the time. It's great for things like this. So we're going to dollop this. Get my thing. Put little dollops of this on top of our batter, and then we're going to marble it in. All right, so take your butter knife and swirl this through the batter to marble it. Let's add some little cinnamon swirls in the batter. And then once we do that, we're going to make the crumb topping. Okay, so now we're going to make the crumb topping that goes on top of this, because that's, to me and to most people, that's the most important part of a coffee cake, is the crumb topping. So this is some almond flour, and you just break it up. You know, this might be the only time you're ever going to hear me say don't sift. There's just no need to. I mean, we're making a crumb topping. It's supposed to be big and chunky, and well, that's what unsifted flour is, kind of big and chunky. So, okay, to this we're going to add some more of the golden chopped walnuts. That is cinnamon and nutmeg. Again, if you want to know exactly how much, go visit the link down below on the screen. It's right down there. And then we're going to combine this with a whisk. I should have gotten a little bigger bowl. Okay. So now, got a little bit of melted butter. It's been sitting out while I've been getting ready to film, so let's get it back. Pour this over, and then mix this well. And this will be our beautiful crumbed topping. Okay, so pour our crumbed mixture evenly over the top. It's so thick and beautiful. And then she does say that you need to use your hand to pat it down into the dough, the batter, just gently, so that it doesn't crumble as much when you go to eat it. So this would probably have been better in a little bit larger pan, but you know what? It's a pandemic. We're doing what we can do. I'm not going out shopping for a different size pan just for 1 inch difference. So pat that down. So there is our beautiful crumb cake by KetoCookingChristian.com. This is going to be baking at 325. She said for 40 to 45 minutes. Hers took exactly 45 minutes, but that was again in a 9x9 pan. So this is going to be a little bit thicker. So we'll just adjust accordingly. When the toothpick comes out clean, we know it's ready. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and we'll be right back here to start on recipe number 2. All right, be right back. All right, guys, so we are back, and our first recipe is out of the oven. It's beautiful. It has really risen well. We're going to leave it on the back burner back here and let it just sort of cool off while we prepare our second recipe, okay? Just wanted to show it to you. All right, so let's get started on our second recipe. This is Keto Coffee Cake by ButterTogetherKitchen.com. That's a cute name. So we're going to do the same exact thing that we just did for our other recipe. It's a batter and it's a crumble. So this is the golden monk fruit, and it's in a bowl ready to be creamed with our butter. And this is softened butter. It actually might be a little too soft. I set it out on the patio, and it's 90 degrees here. But it's a great way to soften butter if you need it softened, and it's summertime. So let's get all this off of this plate here. Yeah, it's super creamy. So we are just going to use a mixer. Put this here because get off there. We're going to need that in a minute. So let's just cream this together, and we'll be right back, okay? Creaming together butter and sugar, even if it's not even real sugar, there's a smell to it that is just like magic. Love it. Love, 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 love it. Okay. To this, get off of there, please. Thank you, sir. Now, to this, we're going to actually blend in our eggs one at a time. Oops. Don't put your shell in there, please. One at a time, the eggs. Okay, and now we're going to add in our sour cream. And again, like I said last time, if you want to know exactly how much of all these ingredients I'm using, use the link down in the description or on the screen here. Just type it in. All these sites deserve the traffic, these recipe developers. All right, get out of the way. So let's mix this in. Okay, now to this we're going to add our dry ingredients, and of course she didn't say to do this, but I'm going to sift it, sift. So this is almond flour, and we're going to sift into that, that is cinnamon, baking powder, and a little xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is pretty common in a lot of baked goods, kind of holds things together and replaces what would be wheat gluten. Okay, so we're going to carefully add our dry ingredients as we beat it into our wet ingredients, all right? All right. Now, just going to make sure this is all combined well. Don't want to beat it too much. So, from here, we're going to move on to the crumble. Before we go any further, let me just clean up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to move on to the crumble now, and this is the almond flour. And again, like I said the last time, when you're making a crumble, it's probably the one time I'll tell you don't have to worry about sifting your ingredients. So to this, going back with the golden erythritol sweetener. This one calls for chopped pecans is what I say, but chopped pecans instead of almonds. And then this is some cinnamon and a little dash of salt. All right, so let's just combine that first, and we're going to add some melted butter to this, and you're about to see the jankiest thing I've probably ever done on camera. But okay, so I would normally never do this, but I set a plate of butter out on the slices to soften for the first step. It calls for the exact same amount of butter in both steps, and I just left it on the back, like the burner that has the oven vent on it, and it stayed out there too long. But hey, ingredients are too expensive to waste, so I would normally never melt butter in a plate, but it just so happened to be. So that's what's going on there. So ridiculous. So let's just combine this, and we'll use a mixer to do this. Okay, what we have managed to do is throw it all over the kitchen, so there's that. So this is our crumble. And let's divide this in half, and you're going to see why in a minute, because she calls for a layer of crumble in the middle of the cake, which sounds delicious. All right, let me get my pan, and we're going to butter it. And y'all, I flat out lied to you. I said I didn't have a 9x9 pan. Rambling through the kitchen, look what I found, a 9x9. I only had the one. So this one we're actually making in the pan that it required. So let me get some butter. Okay, so again, I didn't use parchment paper on this. I follow recipes exactly as written. She specifically said, the other recipe said to use parchment. This one said to butter the dish. So that's what I did. So we're going to add in half of this. So let's roughly portion it out. So half of the batter into the pan. It is thick batter. That xanthan gum does a number on it. So spread this out. At the end of the day, we might wish we had used some parchment, but again, only way to be fair is to do it as she said. Now, half of the crumble. Evenly divide it, evenly spread it out. I'm trying to make it so you can see it from the camera. I can't tell you how good it smells in here. So good. Then the other half of your batter right on top of that. This is going to be cooking for 350 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, sorry. It looks beautiful already. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and everything's going to cook, and I'm going to let them cool for about 15 minutes after this one comes out, and then we're going to come back and taste them. So, all right, I will see you guys right back here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, we are back. These are out of the oven. They have mostly cooled. The last one's been out for probably 20 or 25 minutes or so. So, as you know, the first time, this is our first recipe that we made. And here is the second recipe, and it's still a little bit warm. The lighting here makes it look much darker than it really is, but it is dark. And I'm going to tell you that it was still jiggly in the middle, and I just had to eventually just give up and take it out. The toothpick came out mostly clean, which is the telltale sign. It's not as dark as it in real life as it appears on the overhead camera. All my baked goods look really dark, but it's the contrast in lighting that makes it look that way, but it is darker. So let's talk about nutrition before we even taste these. As far as serving sizes go, this is the very first one we made. This is the coffee crumb cake, keto, low carb, and gluten free. And that's by the website ketocookingchristian.com. And this makes 12 servings. This one's 10 servings. This is 12 servings. And for one slice, you get 294 calories. You've got 26 grams of fat. You've got 8 grams of total carbs. You've got 4 grams of fiber, so that's 4 net carbs per serving. And protein, you've got 8 grams of protein. So for the second recipe, this is the second one. This is Keto Coffee Cake by buttertogetherkitchen.com. And 10 slices of this. One slice is 473 calories. You've got 45 grams of fat. You've got 8 grams of total carbs. You've got 5.4 grams of fiber for a total of 2.6 grams of net carbs. So, and 11 grams of protein. So a little bit of difference. This is obviously much higher in calories, but where do we stand here? Let's try to, dare I take this out? Do you think I should? Let's do it. So that should come out easily. Yeah, perfectly. And that's a lot of slices to have to try to get out of there, and I don't know if that's reasonable or feasible to do. So let's cut us some of this. And tell you what, I'm going to cut the cake in half. And obviously the crumble is what you want to keep on the cake. Okay. Let's cut us a piece of this. You can see the cinnamon swirl where we swirled it in. It's beautiful. So this one over here is going to be a little more difficult to get at, and I realize how dark it looks on camera, but trust me, it's not totally black and burnt, but it might appear that way to you guys. And it still feels a little bit soft in the, and this is going to be the hard part, to try to get a slice out of here without tearing it up. Because you know you always have the sacrificial slice. Look at that. That's that second layer in there. Oh, that looks good. It does feel kind of very dense. Very dense, and not, doesn't feel light and flaky, but we're going to reserve judgment, okay? So let's taste the first one. This is from ketocookingchristian.com, and it looks like a beautiful piece of coffee cake. Crumb comes off nicely. You don't want it to, but that's the way it works. Crumb is crunchy. Cake is moist. Not mad at that. Not mad at all. Okay, here's our second recipe. Looking at this, it almost looks like bread pudding. You ever made bread pudding? It kind of looks like bread pudding. Crumb kind of ditched on us. That is tasty. Okay. Both of these were tasty. Both of these were good. The one that is most like a traditional coffee cake to me is the first one we made. It has that sort of pound cake texture. It has a beautiful, let me hide my big fat face, a beautiful crumb on it. It's also a whole lot less calories than the other one, and I don't know, I just feel like this, you always hear Mary Berry on the Great British Bake Off say claggy. I don't know what she means by that, but I would call that claggy. It feels wet like bread pudding. There was no way I could have baked it any longer without burning the top. I actually baked this in the size pan she requested, which was a 9x9. This is a 9x9. This one was an 8x8. So right now, if I had to give a winner, if I had to declare a winner, hands down, it's going to KetoCookingChristian.com, coffee, crumb cake, keto, low carb, and gluten free. So try that out. It's delicious. I wish I had a cup of coffee right now, but it's about 9 o'clock at night, and I shouldn't have a cup of coffee. So thank you guys for joining me. As I say every time, these videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating. And looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I really appreciate that you have come along for the journey. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button. This is what we do. We take some of the most popular online recipes for keto and low carb cooking, pit them against each other, and taste them and determine a winner. So if you're not new here, welcome back. Be sure to hit the bell button down below so that you're notified just as soon as I release a new video. I also want to thank again my sponsor Green Chef for sponsoring this video. It really is a delicious meal service that we have enjoyed over the last few weeks, and it has been so nice on a weeknight when you're busy and your eyes start to wander to the takeout menus, but you know you've got an easy to prepare meals in the fridge that are delicious, perfectly portioned out and prepped for you, and all the sauce is made and you're ready to go, and you can have wonderful food. So be sure to use the link down below. You'll get $80 off of your first month plus free shipping on the first box. It's greenchef.us/highfalutin80. If you don't know what Patreon is, be sure to check out my Patreon account. I'm going to list all the names of my Patreon sponsors here. Think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It allows people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube, and you can give $1 or $2 a month just to sort of keep the train on the tracks. These guys here that you're seeing on the screen are true rock stars, and they, along with my sponsors, keep this channel on the air. So I want to thank them for sure for joining me. All right, I'll see you guys soon. I've got another video coming out at the end of the week. I know this is an odd week for me. I never do them this rapidly, but be sure to stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I love you guys, and I'll see you very soon.